Hello, guys. Hello, guys. Can you hear me? Hello, guys. Can you guys hear me? Can anyone hear me? So, all right. Thank you very much. Welcome to the class once again. So today is supposed to be our fifth time. Okay, I will be meeting with you guys, and will be today I will be handling Flexbox CSS. I'll be handling Flexbox CSS. So, so we will all know how Flexbox works and how we will be able to use it in our web pages and have a proper responsive designs. So without wasting much time, I will open my VS Code. So without wasting much time, let me share my screen. All right, so I believe everyone can now see my screen. So I'll open my VS Code. I'll create I'll create a folder called day 5. Inside this folder, inside this folder, I'll create a file called index.html and another file called index.css. Before now, we have treated internal and external CSS and ways we can target elements and target elements in our HTML pages. So in this class, we'll be using the external type of CSS to add stylings to our web page. So as usual, I'll generate the HTML template with the typing of exclamation mark and hitting the enter button. Let me change the title of the HTML page, Flexbox. All right. So I'll start by opening a new div and open three sections. Okay. After the three sections, Inside the section, all right. So I'll open three sections. I'll duplicate them. This is the. Well, let's go with one first, okay? And let's generate the dummy lorem. Let's generate the dummy lorem of 50 characters or 30 words, okay? So let us import our styles here. Okay, remember the name of the style is index.css. So I'm going to change this style to index to the exact part of our CSS, which is index.css. So I will use the go live at the bottom here to view the web page on the browser. As you all see, I have the section on the web browser. So I'll move further to add some classes in the div. So I'll say that this class will hold a container, and this class will hold it's a section class. Inside the CSS, I will target the container using the period and the selector. Okay, now adding the property. So let's add the width to 50% and the height to 300 pesos. So let's add a background color for us to view what we are actually doing. View what we are actually doing. So let's say we want to add a background color of red. So this is the background color of red. I'll save and go to the browser. So this is it. So Flexbox is a way to what? Containize your contents. Okay, adjust your contents the way you want to adjust it. Okay, and make it responsive across different screens. So let's assume I want to bring the content of our section at the middle of the container div. So how would we do this? So how would we do this? We would achieve this by what? Going to our style, okay, and add display to flex. Okay. Now remember this display to flex. How Flexbox works is it has properties that is added to the parent component and properties that can be added in the child components as well, right? So this is the parent component, which is the container, right? So this container, I will add the display flex there, and in this display flex, because I want to bring down the section to the middle of the container, I will just say align content, align items to center. So with this, you can see that our section is now at the middle of this the container box, right? So what if we don't want to make it to span up to the length of the container? We'll just need to target the section, okay, and add a width of 30% or 50% to the container. So as we can see, our section is now at the left side of the container. Now we want to shift it to the middle of the container. How do we do this? Here, we'll add another property called what? Justify content to center. Note, align content and justify contents can only be visible to us when we add the display to flex. Except that there's nothing we do here that will work with align items and justify items. All right. So here we can go back to our browser and see how it looks. As you have seen, our section is now at the middle of the container elements. So what if we want to shift it to the right? Here, justify content have more options that we'll have to select from. You can say flex end. Flex end makes it to align at the right side of the container that it's wrapping it. As you can see. So not just that it's aligned, okay, but it is responsive as well. But what if we add two containers, or before then, what if we want to make this section to start at the top, right? We will now adjust the align items and make it what flex starts. So this is what, okay, Flexbox give us, outside the box. It makes it flexible for us to build, very aligned content, okay, and makes our content justified to the container that it is added into. So here, let's set it back the way it is, center and center. So what happens when we have what? Two sections. Here, I'll, do, I'll create another section, okay? I'll create another section. I will have, I'll create another section. This section, we have lorem of, let's say, 20 words. And let's see what happens to the browser. Can we see what happens? So because we stacked all of them, right? We stack all of them at the word center and justify contents to be at the center as well. And this takes its exact width because we have not added what the section class to it. So let's make the width to be consistent across the section as well. As we all know, we can use classes multiple times, but not what ID. So let's add this section here for this section to also take the style of the previous section as well. So as you all can see, they are both what stacked together. But what if we want to what make these two containers to stack to have a space in between them? How do we make this work? We'll go to the CSS, the justify content, is responsible for the horizontal axis or is responsible for the rows, okay, or is responsible for the rows, while the align item is responsible for the what columns. So we can say what we want to make these contents to justify what around so that it will have spaces in between them. Are they? So here we'll say space space around. So when we say space around, let me see if I can increase this width a bit. Okay, so space around, and we will reduce this width to 30 or 40 so that it won't span to the what full length of the container, because each of the section, when we make it to be 50%, each of the section takes 50% of this 70%, and the second one takes 50% of this 70%, making it to take the full width of the container. And we don't want that because we want to create what a space around the items. So we'll rather what reduce the size of the section so that it will work very well. So let us view the browser now. As we can see, it now has what a space, equal space around the edges. Okay. So what if we want to create a space between them? You can say what space between. So this space between creates a space between in between the two sections. Creates a space in between the two sections. In between the two sections. So what if we want to what create a space that will be evenly between the two sections? We'll use what space evenly to do that. As you can see, it has equal space at the end, at the center, and at the other end of the section. So what happens here? Even if we have three sections, it will still find its way to adjust to that container, as you can see. And when we try to check the responsiveness, okay, what happens? It's taking what? The content inside it is what? Overflowing. Okay, so how can we do this? We can remove this height so that it will adjust to the height first. Okay, so whenever we now scroll, reduce the size of the screen, it's now take the full width of the what container of the section. Okay, but what still happens here at smaller screens? Okay, we are not able to view our sections very well. So what do? We'll add the property called what flex wrap and make it to be what wrap. So here you can now see that a smaller screen is now stepping down to a new line, a smaller screen. Let me make this screen 100%, this content 100% this time. Okay, and reduce the size of this guy to 30%. So because we have three contents now, we need to make the calculation very well, in the sense that at the end of it, we'll have a space, okay, around the containers. Because if you calculate 30% of 100%. Okay, that is about 90%, and we still have around 10% for the sections to share. All right. So here, all the three containers can now what enter. Right now, at smaller screens, what happens? It comes down. Okay. So what happens here? We need to what add a minimum width to the sections. So here we can say that minimum width of each section should be what 300 pesos, or let's make it obvious, 500 pesos or 300 pesos, so that it will all stack at the beginning of the page. So here all of them is being contained in the container elements. So what happens when we try to minimize this? So once each element reaches up to 300 pesos, okay, the element is being what stacked to a new line. Okay, so let's add a margin to each element, right? So we add a margin button, okay, of 1 reign. Okay, so we can see the spaces here. So here we can see that no matter at what screen, okay, we still have what our element being responsive. So in that case, you don't need much of what creating a responsive site using the at media query. At media only screen and max width of what 500 pesos and max width of 500 pesos, right? So what does this does? Okay, so this adjusts any element that we add to it once the screen is 500 pesos, right? So let me show you guys an example. Remember, the container is our parent element, so we want it to what reverse what we have once the screen is what 500 pesos. So how do we do that? Remember, we already have what flex in this container, so we don't need to add it here any longer, but we can use any of its what properties. So here we can say what flex direction, okay, and set it to what any if you want to change the rows. If you want to change the rows, okay, let me make it obvious so that to definitely know when the rows is changing. So this is 20 and this one should be lorem of 10, right? Lorem of 10 words. Okay, so it will be obvious that anyone that goes up will know that this one goes up and all those things, right? So let's make it to be a width of once it's 500. Okay, once it's 500 or below, what happens if we set this guy to column reverse? Okay, the last one becomes the first one. So let's see how it shows. As you can see, okay, so probably before Flexbox, this has been a way to make what your screen to be responsive. But what happens here is that it makes us to create what a large line of code, because we have to be doing this across screens. Okay, but with Flexbox, we don't need to attach this always, except if necessary. All right. But what if you want to make this? But what if you want to make this to exchange the rows? So what we will do is increase this guy to 700. Once it's 700, instead of the column to reverse, we'll now do what row reverse. Max width of 1000. As you can see, the last section, all right, becomes the first what section now, and the second section remains the second section, while the first section remains the last section. So this is what Flexbox give us willingly. So please, is there any question before I move forward? Hello guys, is there any question before I move forward? All right, that I believe. Hello guys, is there any questions? So I believe with no response, I believe everyone is following along. So I will proceed. So we have seen ways that Flexbox helps us to what? Adjust our elements. All right. But what if we don't want, but what if we don't want this, the section to stack in rows? We can use the what? Flex direction here, okay, and set it to what? Column. So here we have seen that what all of our section has been set to what? To stack in column, in block. Okay, so the next section goes to new line, the next section goes to new line as well. As you all have seen, Flexbox is very, very good whenever we are building web pages. As you can see, we don't need to be concerned, okay, about the screen that is displaying our web page, because we are definitely sure that what it is going to be what be responsive across screens. So there is another one called what? Grid. So to that, I'll create another div inside this body, okay, and create a section inside the body, create a section inside the body, create a section inside the body, okay, and name this guy grid, class name, give it a class of grid, okay, and give this section a class of grid section. Here we are going to generate a lorem of 40 words. So in our external CSS, I'm going to target the grid and give it a width of 50%. And let's leave the height for now. And the grid section, okay, the grid that have what? Grid section, or that have section inside of it. Okay, we want to what? Make it a width of what? A width of 50% to it. All right. So here, as we can, and we give the parent container a background color, okay, of black. Okay. So here we'll give a color of what? White. Remember, previously we talked about what? The different kind of ways we can what? Add colors. So I'm using the what? Hex type, okay, of colors. So, so here we now have what? A background color of black and our color is white. So what happens here? This is exactly opposite of what we did earlier. All right. So let me comment out this column and have our container elements to stack in rows. So just as the name implies, grid, okay, it stacks our elements. It stacks our elements, right, in what? In columns automatically, as we can see. Okay, so so here, so here, as we did in as we did in containers, let's add a margin button, to the row to the columns. So we'll add a margin bottom of 1 rem to it. Okay. So have you seen? We didn't add anything, right? But automatically it stacks what? In rows. We can do this by using the margin bottom, but we can also use the grid gap in the parent container. Grid gap, all right? Make it to be what? 20 pesos, 50 pesos. Let's say 2 rem. Whoa, whoa. All right. So let's reduce this guy and see what happens. Nothing happens. Okay. So grid cap. We add display. Add display here. Okay. To grid. You can see we now have what? Exactly what we use this margin bottom to create. Okay. So we just need to what? Make the display to grid. That's what shows the browser that what this is what a grid container. Unlike the flex container, okay, we use what display flex to do that. But here, let's change it back to what grid of 1 rem. Any questions, please? If there is any question, please let me know before I move forward. Is there any question? I guess there is no question. So let me proceed. So here now, justify contents and align items behaves opposite to the flex box. Okay, so here when we use justify content here, okay, and say center, this is what happens. So meanwhile, let me reduce this to 40%. So this is what happens. Are you seeing what happens? So the justify content, okay, is now the align items of flexbox. Why the align items center is now the what? Justify content of flexbox. So what is happening here? So we display grid graph of this. So 40%, 100%. This way. So here we want to say align items of center to center and also item center. Switch around. So there's a mix up here. So bridge, new items. We have these guys. Yes, there is a mix up somewhere, but no one is perfect. So let's check out things. Grid, align, and CSS. Display grid, align content center, align content center. Okay, so let's try out this and see what happens. Let's try out this and see what happens. Oh God. Sorry, please. Pardon me. We are using the wrong. Okay, we are not using the wrong distance. So here, let's try align contents to center. There is a mix up somewhere. Let's highlight things. Enter. Okay. Okay. So here we can center the grid, okay, with just 5 items and make it to the center. Okay. What if we make this height, make the height of, let's say, 200 pesos to each section, okay, and we want to bring it down, okay, we will now use what? Align contents, okay, to center, okay, align items to center, align content to center, to items, this, center, let's add a background color to this and let's see what is happening. Okay, so let's say 20 and let's make the height of its container to be 30 vh, 50 vh, and the height of here to be 30 vh, 10 vh. Okay, so with that, this now works. Align item, center. As you can see, it's now stacked what in the center of our view. Okay, The non-stacked at the center. Okay, so let's, because of this, hide overflow. So overflow is what? Let's make it to be auto. Overflow y. Overflow y. It's hidden. Overflow x. Overflow. Let's try scroll. Okay, as you can see, okay, it's now stacked at the middle. Okay, so let me try out something here. Classify content should be center. Okay, doesn't work that way. Classify content should be center. Doesn't work that way. So it uses items to align properly. So depending on the place the position you want it to be, if it's the end, it goes to the end. If it's the start, it goes to the start. Okay. But what if you want to just adjust the children's? Okay. So here we can say in the flex, we can say what? We can use justified self here, okay, and make it what? Flex end. So flex end. Let's uncomment the two sections. Okay. So this is the child element. I want to say classify items, flex end, align self, flex end. As you can see, it's flexed to the end of the container, right? Here we can use what flex start, and it is stuck to the what beginning of the container. So these are the ones that can be used what inside the child elements. These are the ones that can be used inside the child elements. Okay, line contents, flex end, flex end, and justified self, flex end, flex start, content. So, meanwhile, you can say what? Baseline, okay, line self to be baseline. Yeah, when we use baseline, it starts from. So, I will use the pseudo element to target a particular class called ninth child. I want to target the first child. Okay, so the first child now has, let's see if the targeting is right. Orange. So it's not right then. Yeah. So to this guy, we want to put the flex align self baseline. Okay. So baseline means it starts from. We want it to start from the starting point, okay, to the end to where it stops. Okay. So let's say we want to use flex stretch or flex grow, okay, to inherit, okay. So it makes it to what inherits the width of the container. Okay. What about we use flex shrink, okay, to inherit. So let me make the height of this guy to be above others. Okay. So as you can see, it starts from the beginning, okay, to the end. Okay. Starts from the beginning to the end. What if we say center? It comes down to center. If we say flex starts, it goes up as well. So we can as well add this to the individual children as well. So let's say we want to target the second children, second type. I want to change the color to what? To green. Okay? And we don't want it to. So we can say what? Want to make the align itself to be base. Same to the center. You can see. We can as well do this to the third child. Okay? Here we want to set it towards flex end, and we've seen how our containers are being stacked. So this is what Flexbox can get us. Okay, so as we have learned this flexbox, I would love us to, okay, use it to create a quick header before we end the class. So here, I will create another file named header.html and header.css. Let's generate the template as usual to the HTML header. Okay, so we want to create a header. We want to create a header that has an icon at the left side and some nav list. Okay, some navigation links at the right side. So how do we do this? Using Flexbox. So here we will use the header tag. This header tag contains what? How many sections? It contains two sections. What are the two sections? It contains the what? The image section. Okay, the image section that will hold what? The image. Okay, and another section that will hold what? The nav links. Okay, so these nav links will contain what? An anchor tag, anchor links. Okay, so for now, we don't want to navigate to any place, so we add the hash in between the string and say home. Let's make duplicate this about and services, right? So this image, I will have to go into my Explorer and create and add an image here. So let's use this. Okay. So here we'll draw it into this folder, and this is it. So inside our socks, we'll add the path to what? To the image and add a description in the auth section as logo. So let's add a width of 30 pesos and a height of 100 pesos. I'll stop the port and go into or use from here and open this file. So this is what we have currently. Okay, so let me divide my screen so that we'll all be seeing what we are doing on real time. So here I'll say height of 30. Yes, so let me add what? The style, the link file here. Okay, so dot what? Header.css. Okay, so let's give our elements a class of header, a figure, okay, and a class here, our image, and let's remove this guy from here right? So we have what? Our nav here, and let's have the class name. The class name. The class name of what? Link. Okay, so this is what we have. So let's have all of our styling in our heading. So we have what? So first, I love always what? Creating a what? A default stylings. Okay, using the words asterisks. So inside the asterisks, I want to remove all the custom margin and set it to 0 peso. Custom padding and set it to 0 peso. And make the box size to be border size, border box. Okay, so here you can now go ahead to what? Wrap all these guys. All these guys is being wrapped into the header. So we say what? Header. Okay, we have a width of 100 peso, 100%, and a height of 20 or 10 ph. Okay, and here we have a figure. Okay, that has what? I have a figure that has a width of 30 peso. Okay, and a height of 30 pesos. Okay, so we have also an image that has what? A width of what? 100 pesos and a height of 100%. Sorry. So as we all have seen, this is what we have. So let's add a background color to the header. The background color to the header, we have what? Let's make it what? Black, right? So let's make it black. Okay. So this is how it is now. Okay. So here we want to do what? Flex the container inside the header container. Okay. So here, let's add the nav container here. Okay, and make and add the width of 50% to it. Okay, so here, because header is the parent container holding the two containers, we will now what? Add our display to the parent container. Okay, and the display here will be what? Flex. As you have seen, we have aligned what? The two containers close to each other. But that is not what we want. We want to what? Have them separated. Okay? And have one. So here we'll add the word justify content to what? Space around, because we want to have a space around each of them, right? So here, figure we have what? 30%, okay, or 20%, 10%, 5%, okay. On the nav, we have 80%, okay. We have 80%. And probably what we may likely do is what? Change this to space around to what? Space between. Okay, so what's happening here? So anytime you want to know what is happening, you just need to what? Use a background color, differentiate them. So we say green, so this is what it is. Okay. Okay, so this is what our container looks like. Okay, we can though make this space around. Okay, it's not spaced around. Okay, and we can now do what? Create by display flex. Okay, and create and make it to what? Go to the right side. So justify content to the flex end. So we now have all of them at the end of it. Okay. So we can now say call of the links. Okay. So have a margin left to each other or margin right to each other. One rem. Okay. So here you can now say we want to bring all of them to the center, okay, of the header. So how do we do that? We say what? Align items towards center. So it now brings what? All of our heading and our pages to the what? To the center of the page. So here we want to make the links to be what? In capital letters. So we can say text transform capitalize. Here we have now done it. We can also remove